Good morning and beautiful Thursday morning, April 20th, 2023, everybody. This is Midnight Brands coming to you once again with prep for the day. Just going to grab our coffee and we'll get right into it, and we'll begin as usual with SVXY. Hopefully everybody's had a great week so far. Lots of econ stuff coming up today. It should definitely be an interesting one. In fact, we'll blow up the econ stuff here to give everybody an idea of what we got coming down the pipe. And I'm going to grab that coffee that I just mentioned. Be right back. Alright, that is better. So, good bit of econ here this morning. I'm sure there's more Fed speakers than even what are listed here. So it should be a beautiful day. Should give us some good amount of volatility stuff. Definitely be watching the 7:30 time period with jobless claims and whatnot in the Philly Fed outlook. But jobless claims definitely the big piece. I don't know. I have a lot of weight in the home sales and the leading index pieces. Definitely will want to keep an eye out though with Mester talking this afternoon at 12:20 Eastern, 11:20 Central, and then Bostic won't matter. I mean, unless he says something stupid crazy, the market will be closed at that point. So maybe it'll have an impact after we open back up, but I'm just not going to put a lot of weight into that one. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started and get into it here. So SVXY, when I looked at this a little bit earlier and marked it all up, we're gapping down. No surprise with where the markets are at. So gapping down about 20 cents, not a lot, but did make us decide to add that other zone below. As you can see, it's got some swing AV ups in there along with AR1, WPP, above. Would have been full ADRs, maybe, we'll have to see how it opens and kind of where things sit. Just from where I marked the stuff, however long ago, 20 minutes ago, whatever that was, we're already down another 20 cents. So I think that'll ultimately end up putting full ADRs down into this block here, would be my suspicion. So don't believe we'll go back to the upside, but have to see what happens with this econ here today. So if we do, I did expand this zone here so that we include the WTGR2. I think that's probably about it on SVXY. Over on VIX, we had already moved up a decent bit, and we've actually come back in a tad because now we're down to 1733, kind of fighting that historical structural level there at 36, as you can see on the daily there. So right there, really the spot above will be weekly pivot, and you got your tier 1 end of week sheet stuff there, just slightly above 18 and change. Excuse me. It would have been full ADR. Obviously, that's going to be moved up significantly to probably put the full ADR if we stay at this level with going into the open and stuff. Full ADRs would be up higher at that weekly photo. Full other than outlying is what that stands for, along with weekly trend guide and 20-day EMA. So got that, and then noted a div here. There's also this div here, but I just felt like this div would be a little bit more worthwhile, given it's the VIX is watching that 50 versus looking at the cheat codes or expected moves. And then similar above, noted the weekly trend guide to weekly full ADRs. This is definitely is where you start getting into the extremes. So now you're at the tier 3 daily and tier 3 weekly expected move, cheat levels, etc. So interesting on that one. Moving on next, we've got SPY. So on SPY here, got a handful of zones to the upside. I don't know we'll have a ton of weight in them, obviously, with where and how things are going this morning. We took this screenshot. We're at 411.31. We're up to 60. So we're trying to bounce a little bit off this weekly pivot level. And actually, you can see, there's been some nice kind of structure in here last week, beginning of this week, and whatnot. So have to keep an eye out on that. This area was not marked on the chart, and we notated this range box has been what we've traded in since April of last year. We poke above sometimes, we poke below, but generally speaking, we've been trading between this 380, 410-ish level for over a year. And so, pretty important in my mind, if we're really trying to break above and break out of it, then, maybe a retest one more time and go from there. Or maybe that was the retest right there against WPP. You just have to see. Also would note, depending upon where and how we open, it's very possible, likely, that these swing AV WAFs will come up and join this area here. They may just be below it. It may be kind of an after the fact piece, but the other one here will be the daily anchored VWAP stuff here with weekly trend guide. You can see over here on the daily, the March 24th one, it's really right there. You could treat this as one bigger zone or treat it as two separate. It's totally up to you. It's very possible we would potentially, if we do come down here, we come down, tag, bounce back up a little bit, and then go grab the daily anchor VWAP and move above. So yeah, I don't know there's a whole lot else there on SPY. You got these kind of levels, and I guess if you really break down, then very, very easily go tag this stuff here. Would be a bigger move, but heck, we're already gapped down $3+ here already. So, but don't throw away this upside stuff either here, especially if we get through this weekly trend guide reversal stuff. Then it's really wide open up until we get to these bigger pictures here. It is interesting to note this is the OPEX tier 1 sheet, and OPEX is obviously Friday if it's not clear. So OPEX weekly trend guide reversal, top edge supply and demand just right there. So super interesting as to where that lines up. Okay, and then on the Qs, so handful of zones, pretty obvious there. Would probably note out more, and let's see where the Qs are at here now. Everything's trying to bounce a little bit off of some key levels. You'll see when we get to the indices. So the Qs are at 316.05. So again, trying to put in a little bit of bounce off the daily cheat level there, it looks like. In any event, so you've got that 20-day right there, full, what would have been full ADRs. It won't be, full ADRs will probably be down closer to the weekly photo. There's also a gap fill there from back on the 12th from what it looks like. We didn't note this block here. You've got a swing AV WAP joined right up with this 311, which has been structural in the past. So it'd be one to watch. If you don't have the horizontal array in your chart, just put that there. And the swing AV WAP, as you can see, is from March 13th at 3 p.m. Central. Beneath that, you've got kind of a nice block here with your weekly full. That'll stay as is. It also has a nice little gap fill in there from back on March 28th. Yeah, it looks like probably March 27th. Anyways, You get your weekly trend guide and monthly pivot points there, and then there's also the day anchored VWAP in there, as well as the swing anchored VWAP. The daily will be obviously just a touch lower. Looks like it's around 309.90, give or take. And then below that, if we decide to keep going, again, this would end up being a $7 move, give or take, at that point, which would definitely be pushing up into the bigger kind of ADR extremes, but nothing super crazy still. You can see we had some bigger moves back here. So this is an ADR percentage basis, but still 7 to 8% or $7 to $8 is going to be kind of up into that tier 1, tier 2 type of ADR range. I don't know why that's at R, but anyways, that's 50-day EMA and WTG3. So yeah, that is the cues. Hopefully that was helpful. Let's move on now to ES. It's getting a nice little bounce there off of this kind of inside-ish zone level. It is the weekly IV stat low, weekly pivot point, tier 1 daily cheat expected move. There's also the last week's high volume node in there, and then I mean, just about, yeah, I mean, it dipped just beneath that on the one bar there, and then came back, retested, and it's pushing. Ideally, we get a up to liquidity at least. Would love to see test trend guide from below. Not just because I have a position open, but because I think that is reasonable. I'm wishing I'd gotten more size on actually now. In any event, I don't know, there's going to be a whole lot to talk about in this one. It really is kind of straightforward. Going to recolor a couple of these just for sanity purposes on my part. I want to mark some of these as inside just because of where they've traded overnight and because of where we traded yesterday during the day. Okay, so let's start from the far bottom here and work our way up. So from the far bottom, we've got a bigger zone there. It feels like it makes sense being bigger if we get down that far. You've got an NV pocket at the top edge of the zone, gap fill just beneath that, and then you keep coming down, you got supply and demand, and you have a naked VA as well as the weekly full ADRs, WTG2. And then there's also the 50-day that is rising up to join it there. What is interesting is about that same spot, if we were to reject here, we would have poked above the monthly anchored VWAP from the all-time highs and would be failing to go, we'd be going back below it. So given it's a monthly anchored VWAP, it's got some time to, it doesn't have to be taken off and invalidated immediately. It gets some time because it's a month VWAP. So that is definitely much further down below. If we go there, moving up, we get into the tier 3 daily cheat expected move, the weekly. You also in here have the swing anchored VWAP. The daily anchored VWAP is going to be right in that same vicinity as well. It's going to be a little bit lower here at like 4107, give or take, with the 20-day up just slightly higher. And so that is an interesting one. You also have the March 28th one there. In fact, I would even take this. Oh no, because you got the gap fill there. So I would just watch. Make sure you got you know, March 28th. I can't see that. 1 o'clock Central. VWAP on there, and you can see how it's played out kind of nicely there. Moving up there, you've got this transfer trend line that's been playing out, as well as your photo ADRs, last week's point of control, 3-year high volume node is right there. And then that zone that I said we've been talking about there. Moving up further here, now we've got our trend guide, which is just got sliced right through here. I've not dug in to see like what was the big stuff there. Like, why do we have that big fade from the 68s to 48s? Like, let me see if there's something here. I don't. That was at what time? 4? I was right at London Open there. Really needed to hold above that 60 area, so it could just be that it, you know, failed. Okay, 147, 157. Japan's Kashida, they're not going to touch sales tax, PBOC. Deutsche Bank, cut executive, no. PBOC, NATO, chief to visit Kiev. Yeah, I don't see anything that kind of leads me to know or to understand why we got kind of that pull there overnight. Interesting to say the least there. I don't like how ES is rejecting that swing AV WAP from that time period either. So I took one off. Probably dumb. In any event, you get the trend guide there. Like I said, I'd love to see it come up and tag that from below, and then keep coming down and dig further down into the 20-day there. NQ tagged it, that you'll see here in a little bit. So ES would be a nice kind of tag of it. Moving up above, this is actually going to be full ADRs now. Did not adjust that earlier when I was looking at it. Let's do that now. I think I'm going to change those all. This will no longer be full ADRs or photo or anything of the such. Going to change all those to be half of their stuff. So that's it. Let's zoom out just a touch more so we get some of these other pieces, just in case we do decide to go crazy. This will not be weekly photo now, it's just going to be regular old blah. Alright, so that is it there on ES. can see it, you know, in this perspective, it is hitting that daily trend line now. It's also interacting right with the April 6th daily anchored VWAP that got thrown on the chart there. So yeah, right at weekly pivot point, daily anchored VWAP, and like I said, last week's high volume node. It's also the tier 1 daily cheat in the bottom edge of supply and demand. So yeah, that is ES, and I'm going to put y'all on hold here for just a minute. Well, isn't that surprising? Went to go make sure that somebody was getting up and ready for school, and they already left. They're already at school. Should have known. All the lights were on and everything, and nobody was home. Yeah, go figure. Anywho, let's move on and let's go look at NQ here. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be regretting that sell already. So NQ, like I mentioned, is already tagged. It's really the look zone. It's come in and tagged, right? Weekly trend guide, photo ADR, and the daily anchored VWAP from what's that, March 20th there. So really nice, nice one on that piece there. As I scroll down and put NQ into context, you can see right here at that zone 7. Weekly trend guide, 20-day EMA, last week's low volume node, also the 10-day high volume node there as well. So interesting to see kind of last week in the 10-day, that's a rolling 10-day too, to be clear if that's not for folks. So yeah, so you got that zone there. Again, it's a little bit wide. You could, you know, at this point kind of drag it down. I do like, actually, I have not got a chance to look at this before, but kind of how it's lined up and stuff in there. Maybe I did look at it and adjust it, or I did it last night. So yep, you've got that zone. Beneath it, you've got your full ADRs and a gap fill from back on April 13th if we fail that. Really though, the big area in my mind will be this much bigger block below. So if we take out and decide to shoot through full ADRs, and you could even, you know, expand it down here to grab the weekly IB stat low from 2 weeks ago, weekly photo ADRs, the tier 1 weekly cheat stuff there. I mean, if we fail that zone, then, you know, sure, we could come tag this March 13th spot here, which would be probably one of these guys here. So that's the swing anchored VWAP on that one. Okay, so March 10th, 12, 8:20. Yeah, so the daily anchor VWAP is right in here, and it's a pretty big one in my mind there. Just NVPOC, weekly trend guide 2, weekly full ADRs, monthly pivot points, daily anchor VWAP. So that's a pretty massive size zone if we do decide to come down to that particular area there. Or not. Like, we could do exactly what we've done the last 2 days is, sell off overnight, get a good recovery. I mean, Tesla did not help matters at all last night. It is 168 now. Yeah. Okay, so moving on here. So yeah, just don't know. There's a whole lot else to say. It's pretty clean, pretty straightforward in my mind there. Okay, RTY. Not a whole lot to say here really on RTY, and haven't really been watching it a ton, just been focused on other things. Decent sized zones though. Full photo ADRs have actually been somewhat more respected in them from where they were last night. Photo is now outside of any of these pieces, so interesting there. It is nice kind of seeing here though, actually the div is picked up and grabbed that weekly IB stat load, the daily cheat. You also have a naked VA in here from the other day. Coming into now and trying to interact with trend guide weekly pivot from below along with the 20-day EMA in there. So I have to see what and how that's progressing. Still in kind of that good size weekly pinch there. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Like I said, I'm not going to talk a whole lot more here on this one, because I really want to get over to GC and CL. CL had a nice bounce off of one of its div levels last night. Had a great bounce yesterday. Man, wish I had kept more of that. I view this as a div, and I actually debated about keeping it on there, but I'm going to keep it there today just to kind of watch and see how RTY interacts with that spot there and decide what we do with it. I did also add a note here, the trend strength reference point, structure area there at the 1808 level. You also had above there, looks like that is last week's, can't see if it's a low volume or high volume area, but you also have the gap fill from yesterday, and and the naked VA from a couple days ago. So, or actually, sorry, naked VA from yesterday. So, anyway, that will be RTY. Move on to YM. If I can select the right row. Okay, when looking at this one last night, the thing I did not like at all was how big this zone is here. 34,080 to 160, I mean, it's 180, like, so you could either go like this. Actually, I think we can go like this. That's probably a better way to attack that. And just treat the NV POC and gap fill here in the middle as a div, and so watch against that. If you do wait and grab the top edge of, if it comes up here and you try to grab a short, you know, just keep an eye out and watch for, you know, coming up into this block here, or just, you know, take it and leave it so that you exit if it gets up to here, and then watch and see if we blow through this, go up to the next zone. Or how do we interact there? You gotta do you and figure out what's your style, what's your risk, etc. Yeah, just looking. I don't know if I'll change a lot else here. This is all pretty straightforward. We traded a silly 163 points yesterday. It was really crazy. Meanwhile, overnight we've already traded a little over 200 points. So. Yeah, 163 yesterday, and we've already traded 205 in the overnight session. Just silly. Oh, I got stopped out. That sucks. Yes, it was good we took some off. Not enough. So did add this zone here. So you've got weekly trend guide, naked VA, gap fill, which is also last week's low value area there at the 33,750. Obviously there's a swing anchor VWAP coming up right here around the 33,800 level. Which was your, looks like 10-day low value area, and I'm gonna guess that's a 3-year high volume node there. I can't see obviously with stuff, but yeah. Okay, let's take a look at commodities. Let's start off with gold since I have it loaded. And I take that back. We will look at CL because I already have that up here on this chart. And we'll adjust the rest of them here now. So trying to get a bounce, like I said, off the 50-day tier 1 daily expected move pieces and the weekly full ADRs in there. Looks like they just got dick for ticked there. Come on. So I'm going to leave that daily anchored VWAP in there just for the moment. It held yesterday, I mean, just amazingly, along with the 20. And we're dipping below it right now, but what's to say that we don't hold it? So going to leave that, and obviously the March 24th daily anchored VWAP there. So just taking a look here at this one. You know what, I think actually I would do this instead with just where this is set up is it's obviously a little bit of hindsight there, but I mean, given just how close those two zones were, that just feels a little bit more accurate of the way it should be lined out. Sorry, I just want to see these line up all the way across. So I think it's the same thing here. There is the gap fill there, which is why we're trying to capture that, but maybe the better way to attack this one is like this. And the daily anchored VWAP would be right in here. And this is that bigger zone down there at the low. So was not, I guess I was up for this, but it already bounced off of there. By the time I got up into the desk, it was much higher. So could have chased, but didn't. I'm not going to bother with that. We have traded a $1.57 already, but I'm not going to mark that. So there is this zone here, obviously we want to keep an eye on. And that's what that one is, what's highlighting there, that we skipped over the 20-day EMA, April low, and then the weekly photo ADR, we just blew right through it, and so it kind of invalidates it a little bit, but we do still have the daily anchored VWAP. You know, I'm going back and forth on that. Given that we came all the way down here and tagged this lower level, just missed the 50 in the weekly full. Like, I don't know I would watch this for a short there. I mean, sure, you're up 100 plus ticks at that spot, but I think I'd rather see us come back and, you know, attack the bottom edge of the gap, the range gap from back here, and fail off of that, or come up even higher into RTH, hit the NYMEX real-time hour gap fill, and then fade back down to go get to 50. So anyway, that's how I'm thinking about CL there. And don't tell me this thing's gonna freaking bounce out of that zone after it faded. You know, flipping through all these every day, I didn't even notice that we did finally succeed and hit our ABCD term completion. Really nice hold yesterday. Missed that off of gold, off the daily anchored VWAP. That was just a miss. In any event, here we are this morning. We're at the... Did all my stuff? No, this didn't change. Oh, that's why it didn't change. Yeah, nice hold into this stuff here. There it is. Nice hold into this stuff here yesterday. And then good push. Now it's up into the secondary swing AV WAP from the highs there. What did we trade? Almost 40 bucks the last couple of days, so definitely into some bigger ADR ranges here. You can see we came up into the kind of average and tagged the lower edge there. And we had that, you know, big massive day back here, so definitely puts us up into some elevated ADRs for sure, which gives us some additional zones because we look to find zones that are within the ADR blocks. This is an interesting one here. I'm gonna highlight and note this. This was not the case last night. Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole lot to say here. It's pretty clean. So there, but no expectation. Same thing. That's where we're at there now. yeah, so I think that is it, folks. And we will wrap that there. Hopefully, everybody has a great one. And we will catch you all tomorrow on Friday. Thanks.